Hi everyone, welcome back to Event Advice by CrowdComms. I'm here, joined with Matt. We've donned our uniforms once again. We are matching all the way down to our socks today. Actually, you won't be able to see our socks, but we are matching. Welcome back. So in 2025, we're going to kick off talking about exhibitions and exhibitors. So we obviously do a lot of technology for exhibitions and for exhibitors. Lead capture, networking, meeting booking, all this stuff. But we also obviously exhibit ourselves. We do a lot of that throughout the year. So let's just jump straight into it. Let's talk about why companies should exhibit to start with.
Yeah, we will do. Do you know, it's really helpful that we build technology for lots of companies who are going to exhibit, because it helps us understand the fundamentals, the reason, the purpose, the importance of it. We understand the problem, so we can present a solution. But why do companies do it? It's a challenging climate out there at the moment, and we want every opportunity to get in front of potential buyers. So finding an exhibition that has the right attendees, the right audience, so that we can put together a strategy to get there, get in front of those right buyers, gives us a great opportunity to generate revenue. And in what we do, revenue as a one-time meeting or connection is ongoing revenue as long as we continue to deliver and continue to develop our product. So it's a great way to boost our client base. If done properly, it's the same for any company in any sector. If they find the right event, then there's value in attending. And then you look at how you attend well.
Yeah, I mean, it just maximizes everything, doesn't it? Bringing all your customers together in one place just means that you can really hit the ground running.
Often your customers and your competitors.
Yeah.
So it gives people the opportunity to make genuine business-led decisions. So I've always seen that as a positive, because you can say, you've seen everyone else. You've been to see them. This is what we do.
Yeah.
It does mean that you have to be ultra prepared. You have to know your competitors. You have to know who is there. You need to know their value. You need to know your value in comparison to theirs, so that you can make sure that you deliver that message in the best possible way. But what an opportunity. All the opportunity to make a decision, and all the people in one room to look at, to enable you to make that decision. And we've got an opportunity to compete. Fabulous.
You've done it for so many years now, you know, from being a reasonably small, you know, having very, very small booths, you know, maybe just a pop-up stand, to having a, you know, big exhibitions. Do you have any advice for the smaller companies who might be doing it, thinking about getting into it for the first time?
The process is the same. So irrespective, I'm not certain that the big booth is always the answer. When we've gone the big booth, has it always resulted in better performance? What the big booth has is gravitas, and it has this kind of stigma, this impression of being grand and being sizable, and that can be really important. But if you do the groundwork before, it wouldn't make any difference, if I'm honest.
Okay. Well, how do we get the booth right then?
That is, it's design, isn't it? It's branding, it's brand positioning, it's what's your message. We're going through this process at the moment, aren't we?
We are.
You know, we have behind us, you know, we have a booth like this, but you're actually redesigning something completely different. So getting that bit right. This booth, which is behind us, I don't know how much of it you can see, was very much, if you see it, you know, make it very visual. We do registration, we do apps, we do on-site badging, we build virtual platforms. You know, make it too easy to ignore what we do. Maybe if you're at a small booth and you're a young business, that's the approach. People don't know what you do, hit them with it.
Yeah.
But when you get to be a slightly larger organisation, then it's more of a brand kind of messaging, so you can deliver it in a slightly more subtle way, which is the route we're taking.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially as we, you know, any exhibitors that have got hardware or like to take things on site with them to kind of make their booth a little bit more special than just a shell scheme, then it's even, you know, it's less important to put, you know, pictures of your product up on the screen, because we're always demoing it. We're always actually showing people in reality, aren't we?
Maybe that's a reason for having a bigger booth, that you have more real estate to kind of deliver those hardware alongside, in our case, software options. But
yeah, I guess show me, not tell me.
Yeah.
So it's a bit easier, isn't it? Okay. So how do you start to engage your staff to prepare for your exhibitions?
Okay, so let's focus on the people that are there. Being prepared is critical. So we have a project, we do it in our project management tool, booking the right people, booking the facilities, the accommodation, coordinating their travel, so they know when they're going to arrive, who's going, which of those members have got responsibilities in terms of setting up the stand if that's appropriate, making sure that the material, the collateral that we're going to use for the show is there. So we have a project for every single event or exhibition we attend with a list of tasks and responsibilities. Choosing the right people. So on an exhibition stand, you have different personas that are required to be really effective. This isn't the correct terminology, but you've got your grabbers. So you've got your people that will be on the edge of the exhibition. They're going to be looking at the people that are coming past. And their job, and you will have a load of, if you've done your job properly, and we'll talk about this in a minute, no doubt, you'll have a load of appointments already in your calendar.
Yeah.
So you'll have loads of appointments. What we tend to do is if we've got gaps, the grabbers will fill those gaps. And if it's a good event and you know the audience is appropriate, then you know that if you grab, they're there for the right reason. So when I go to Event Tech Live and I say to someone, what do you do? I'm an event planner. But I know they're likely to be an event planner. And I also know they're going to have interest in event technology because it's the right event.
Yep.
When I go to Confex, which we're doing very soon, next month, I know that we're going to have an audience of event industry people. So I don't have to say, what do you do? I know. I can ask them something really direct as a grabber. Which technology do you use for your events? You know, when's your next event? And do you mind talking to me about your technology? So you can be really focused because we know they're the right audience. So they're your grabbers. And they will then bring that person in and maybe sit them down with someone who does a demo, a more technical demo. I love, so this is a bit of a grey area. Some people don't like to get in too much detail on an appointment. Quite often that's because they're worried about the quality of their product in an exhibition or trade environment. We don't have those concerns.
Okay.
You know, we're confident to demo. So we can say to someone, tell us about your events, tell us about your technology challenges. And I know that very quickly I can show them a solution. So I like our team to do that.
Yep.
If it isn't such a technical solution, then you just want to find out what their problems are. You want to give them some reassurance that you can solve it. And then you want to make sure that you set a realistic follow-up. So yeah, they're your more technical demoers, and then you've got your grabbers. And then we normally have like a sweeper. So just making sure everyone's okay, just making sure the guys get the breaks that they need because it's face-to-face, it's really intense if it's done right. Give them time to have a break and a rest. So there's multiple roles that take place on a show. And it's finding out who are the best people to do those respective roles.
Now, I've seen you do this, and have you got any tips for that initial question? Because I know it's one of your key things. It's not, "Hi, how are you?" It's not you know. Give us your tips.
I think you know, I will always judge. Not judge. That's the wrong word. Assess who it is that's there, and the approach will be very different. And you look at. And people will probably say, you can't be ageist, you can't be sexist. I'm not being any of those things, but I will consider the age of someone, the sex of someone, how they're dressed, how they approach it, whether they're really confidently walking through or how discreet they are, because that will determine how I approach them. In the same way it would do in any walk of life. You've got to say something that resonates. It can be something that you see, blimey, I love your shirt. It could be something as basic as that. Yep. Or I've just seen that you've been over chatting to them. Oof, I think we've got a much better opportunity here. Something light-hearted, but you're not going to get away with that every time. Yep. Don't you work at? Is one, someone might say, isn't that so-and-so? Don't you work at? Because then you're immediately showing that you have some kind of information or knowledge about that person. So there's a range of different solutions. I know that you work in events. I know that you're interested in technology because you're here. But have you heard about ours? Yeah. You know, just a statement.
Yeah, get into a conversation.
Captures them.
Yeah.
Don't apologise. Really sorry to stop you. Sorry. Have you got a couple of minutes of my time? These are delegates at an exhibition.
Yeah.
Now, there might be 100 people. You've got to stand out. Don't be apologetic. You're doing your job. Your job is to provide the best solution to that person to solve their problems. And if you don't ask them to consider your option, you're doing them a disservice. Because they might move on to another company, let's not focus on who that is, who don't have solutions as good, who aren't as passionate about delivering it, who won't deliver it with the quality that you can. You're doing them a disservice not to challenge them to consider your solution.
Great. Do you have any tips for helping people to fill their diaries?
Yeah, I mean, that comes down, there's different approaches, isn't there? We will look at whether people attending will have a social campaign, and this is, you know, we'll probably come onto this as well, but social campaign well in advance leading up to this, and it will be you being involved, me being involved, our account management team going out to our existing client base, our account team going out to the wider database of people, and our social community. So doing that nice and early, challenging the organisers to get you on that appointment booking system. So often it's you're waiting. We are on them. When does this open? Yeah. We want to get on here. Get us into that diary. And then leveraging your team. So one person managing booking, they'll own the bookings in our system. So we have someone who owns our booking, but they will leverage loads of other people in the team to get greater reach, to give us more opportunity. And then we make sure those people are right. So we're going to be connecting with them on LinkedIn. We're going to be saying, thank you so much for booking an appointment. We're also doing a drink. We're also doing drinks on the first night. Or why don't you join us for dinner? So that way you're saying to them, thank you. We appreciate you taking time to come and see us. We're doing a number of other initiatives. Come and join us for them. So you really get buy-in from that individual. And you'll find that if you've done that LinkedIn connection beforehand, if you've taken time to understand their type of business, that creates trust, rapport before you meet them. Thank you so much for connecting. Feels like we've got ahead. That I actually know some of your pain points before you've even started talking to me.
Would a smaller business who are just starting out and just, you know, thinking about getting into exhibiting, would they have the budget necessarily for those sort of pre-arranged meetings? Would they need to do it separately and say, we'll see you there, and like do it themselves? How do you go about that?
That's a really good point, because what's happened, it used to be you'd book a trade show, you had the appointment booking, and then everyone had that opportunity. Quite often now that appointment booking is sold in as a separate, so you pay for your shell screen and then you've got your grabbers. Poor choice of word. So sometimes you will have to then add that. It doesn't matter if you can't afford that first time. Be great at the grabbing. Be great at looking at the audience. Be great through your social campaigns. Be great going out to your client base. I'm never, ever, ever, ever scared of going out to my existing clients and saying, we're at Confex, come and see us. I know they're going to see our competitors, but they can see them anyway. And all of our clients, they're smart. They've gone through a process. So get them there. Go out to your existing clients. The reason that's so important, and it's so often forgotten, is that when we go to London, it costs us 70, 80, £100. So, 3 meetings a week, we're looking at £300 per account manager. You go to Confex, you go to Event Tech Live, you head up to London, you do that. We will see 30 of our clients in 2 days. So actually it's efficiency of spend to get that touch point, that in-person touch point, without having to take an hour of their time in their office. So much of our business, so much of the stickiness of our clients is because we focus on those contacts that we make at the shows with our existing clients. So be proactive. You don't have to be reliant on meeting booking. You can do a lot of it yourself.
Let's talk about that. So sort of pre-event preparation in social and marketing. How would you approach, how far in advance do you think you should go out? Do you want to bombard people? Do you want to take it easy? Like, what platforms should you use? Do you have any advice on that?
So I think the time that you launch should be dictated by the time since the previous industry event. So we strategically choose the events that we're attending so they don't cannibalize the kind of marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So we don't want to go back to back, because then what you find is that it's a really confused messaging.
Relentless, isn't it?
So you have to look at the portfolio events if you're not in a luxury of doing all of them, which we're not, and decide so that you do have some spacing, and that enables you to start campaigns respectfully after the last one.
Yeah.
So we have ETL going into Confex. So we have ETL, then we have Christmas. So up until Christmas, we're really focused on ETL. Into January, actually, we're still thinking about ETL. We're building that pipeline. We're still communicating with those people that we make. We're building pipeline. We're actually closing these deals now in our deal cycle from Event Tech Live. It's now-ish, a few weeks ago, last week actually in this case, that we're thinking about Confex in February. So that's like 5-6 weeks cycle that we're working on. And I think that's a realistic, people are focused on the previous one, mindset's now on Confex. So I think you base it on previous events in your schedule, I think.
Yeah, a
as
little
much
bit
as
of
anything.
breathing space in between each one. What are the other ways to maximise your time at an event? So let's talk about speaking opportunities, if you can get them, making sure you're submitting, talks to the organiser to try and get yourself on stage.
It's great publicity to be up there on stage. And if you can do it and talk with authority and make it interesting content, which, hopefully we do sometimes, then without question you get people coming to the stand and saying, I saw you up there, that was great, or interesting, don't agree with that, but it's conversation starters. So there's huge value in that. And it's also, I think it's really positive internally to challenge our team to do it from a personal development perspective. Life begins when you start pushing yourself. So it's when it's not comfortable, that's when things are really exciting. You push yourself out of your comfort zone, and that's really where life begins for people. And so I like challenging people, myself, you, and others, to do that, because I think it's really exciting from a professional perspective. If you can do it on stage, when you meet with that board of 20 people at the biggest business in the world, that's your audience of 20. You've been looking at 100 faces, now it's 20. It kind of changes that dynamic, which can only be a positive.
I totally agree. Like the concept of being brave, you'll never regret it.
No.
You are not going to make a fool of yourself. I don't think I've ever seen anyone. I've seen people get nervous on stage. I've never come away thinking they shouldn't have done that.
But what an industry we have, that you could have someone nervous, and I'm nervous when I go up on stage. I never look down and see judgment. I look down and see empathy from our industry.
The audience.
That's it. I see people who want you to do well.
Yeah.
And that creates a culture of trying to challenge yourself and wanting to push yourself. And it's always, you come off and you think, God, I've done it.
Yeah.
It's not relief, is it? It's
pride.
It's pride and
you've got
energy.
adrenaline, you've got pride, you've got, people have reacted to you. Even if you've got a small audience, you've still got the audience. You've got people listening to what you're saying. It's a very, very good thing to do for anyone. And
Dan last week, PCMA, great reviews.
100%.
He did a brilliant job, didn't he?
Yeah. And we've got people behind the scenes that do a really, really good job of making sure that people have the opportunities to do things like that. So it's not necessarily, if you work for an organisation and you're going to an exhibition, you don't feel like you're doing that on your own. You should involve people around you. You should bounce ideas off of people. Do you think we should submit a talk about this? Who can we talk to about this idea? So I think there's only positives to trying to getting yourself on stage, I think.
It's also good to show people outside of a business the characters inside for obvious reasons. And you look at Confex, we're doing session on neurodiversity, inclusivity, and UX design and accessibility. So we're doing a session with Gabby again, who's fabulous.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that, and we're doing another one on event, similar to this kind of event advice kind of program. So that's super exciting. But the people are a bit bored of us, aren't they? We're getting a bit boring. We started boring, we're getting worse. But we've got Kim doing a session on registration journey and pathways. We've got Henry, a character, you know, the guy's coming in, he's a real character. He's brilliant on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Much more of a character than we are. Going up there and we're showcasing what he's doing. We've got Johnny doing a session.
Yeah.
So we've got, and they're both great sessions. So Johnny and Kim and Henry. So it gives them a chance to see some different characters in the business, which is really, really important, because so often we're talking about these things and it's our team that are actually delivering them and doing it and breathing it every single day.
Well, I think if I had a criticism, it's like the people that want, I think in every organisation there are maybe one or two people that do a lot of that. And trying to broaden that out is a better thing than always seeing the same person, and the sort of, even if it's the figurehead of the organisation or someone who's really ambitious to get into that sort of the side of the industry, that whatever industry you're in.
So often the figureheads aren't the best at it as well.
Yeah, they're the most confident about talking about it potentially, but they're not the guys actually
thrust into it unwillingly almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the case here.
Yes. So what about engagement during and after the event? Let's talk about after the event, because I think we've covered a lot of during the event and how to maximize your opportunities there. How do you then make sure that you're following up in the right way?
Marketing campaigns are set up beforehand. Email campaigns are set up beforehand. You're making sure that you've got the right process in your CRM, so people are tagged by the right persona, so they get the right tailored marketing campaigns. Unless you're getting thousands of people, you can make it bespoke. Don't let anyone tell you they're too busy to create a custom email. So those first comms have got to be tailored. We met you, we talked about this. This is what success looked like, and here's our solution. Let's catch up. Don't let anyone tell you they haven't got time to do that, because they do. You always have to have time to do it properly. So making sure it's tailored follow-ups alongside more general social stuff that goes out. Making sure that it goes straight into your sales funnel. Making sure that you track it. Yeah. I can go to every show and I can see pipeline, which is important. I can see revenue generated, which is important. We have cumulative revenue. So if they sign at ETL, how many pounds have they spent over certain periods of time? So we can not just check the effectiveness of a single event, but we've got it across 3, 5, 10 years. Yeah. And making sure, okay, well, the cumulative spend of that person that we met, Event Tech Live or at Confex or at the meeting show, wherever it might be, at IMEX, is £800,000. So it wasn't just the £10,000 that we put against the direct show. It's £800,000 over the last 4 years. Yep. And we've got a multitude of examples of that. So make sure that you've got quality campaigns, that you track those campaigns, and that you understand what success is for you. It isn't a lead. It's not a business card. It's not a scan. What happened from that scan? Did you get the information that enables you to tailor the comms, that enables you to track it appropriately, that enables you to track it long term, to establish whether that particular trade show or exhibition was a success for you?
Okay, great. I think we could probably talk about exhibitions for a very, very long time, but we'll leave it there for now. Good luck with all of your exhibitions. If you need to talk about exhibition technology, we're obviously here whenever you need us. There's loads more videos in the series to catch up on, but for now, we will see you next time.